go over one of our campus MTSS trainings that we did a few weeks back to make sure we're all on the same page, or if you have questions, definitely reach out to me anytime. Happy to help. So this is not about adding more to your plate. It's a structure that's already on your plate so that it works better for you and your students. So not trying to add anything here on y'all. Just want to make sure we're always refining, tuning up our process and procedures here, especially those students where we can really start addressing things at that tier 1 level and meet their need. Try to, cast our net out there and meet more of those students at where they are at. So thinking about here at Trent, our PLC campus discussion helps identify students' needs. MTS provides that structured response. So we're always using the guiding PLC questions. Who needs that support and what are we going to do about it? Using that data will help us determine who starts needing those supports, beyond tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, if not more. And then our MTSS campus structure just outlines how we will plan to get those targeted support strategies, timelines, progress monitoring to ultimately do what's best for our students. So just kind of take a minute to reflect. How does our campus MTSS system provide strong, responsive support? What are things that we do well? If you want to jot them down, or if you just want to think about it for a second, what are things we as a campus do well? What do you do well? So take a few seconds and kind of just think about that, reflect in your head. Feel free to pause if you need to. So what's your barrier? When you're thinking about MTSS, when you hear the word intervention, what's your gut reaction and why? What's one bias or assumption you might have about students who need extra support? What's that one real barrier you face when trying to implement interventions, and what support we have helped? Take a second to think about this. Jot some things down if you need to. No wrong answers here. Feel free to pause the video. So as we know, Frisco ISD, it's our district mission to know every student by name and need. We also have an MTSS district goal: analyze and strengthen our district's MTSS structures and processes to sustain and expand staff efforts in responding to student learning needs. All of that goes really, really good with our campus mission statement as well, because we want them to grow through their efforts for success beyond the pack. So how does our campus mission support the goal of expanding MTSS efforts to meet every student's learning needs? Pause the video for a minute and think about this. Reflect. So take a second to read through Tyler's journey. Okay, he might even be a student of yours now or a student that you've had in the past. Go ahead and pause and take a second to read and reflect. So imagine he's in your class. Based on your current knowledge of your campus MTSS process, create a list of proactive steps you would take as a team to support Jaden on your anchor chart. Again, go ahead and pause and write down your answers. Ultimately, your answers are in a line with, we do have process and procedures. We do have a means and a way to get the student support that they need. And that's where our brains need to get to. We're trying to do a mindset shift and framework that helps us respond to the student needs before they fall behind. We're not waiting for them to fail. We're planning for success from the start. And I know sometimes that was hard for me, just on a personal note, to wrap my head around, because sometimes, seeing that student when they do have those moments of failure, that is telling us those areas of gaps, misconceptions, disconnects, to figure out how we can help them. But at the same time, we can't wait on it. And I think about, if no one had not intervened on Micah Constanzo, my own son, he would not be a 6-year-old right now who is spelling, reading, writing, and reading books. So that just kind of gives me my own personal, drive and motivation there as well, that we want to do the same for those kids, that they don't fall behind. So campus tiered supports and resources. We do have those things in place, and some things, we're already doing it. It falls underneath the MTSS umbrella: academics, behavior support, whole child development. We have a lot of things already going on already. This now gets into, the process, procedures, structures of MTSS. We know that Tier 1 is everyone, all students, school-wide. Tier 2, now we're starting to get into more targeted things, database decisions, more that student would need compared to their peers. And then getting into Tier 3, it's more intensive. We're now getting into, for example, the math lab or the reading lab, or more individualized interventions. And interventions are not always just accommodations. Accommodation might be a type of intervention, but there's other things that we're doing as well: tutorials, pulling them small group for reteach. So it just gets individualized and unique for those students. Our responsibilities, we have to identify them. We have to go to those SST meetings, be a part of it, even filling out the input that you might need. But we're always kind of like self-monitoring our process, procedures, and things like that to support those kids. And then, work with our other resources like Special Education 504 ESL to see what we can do collaboratively together. These are all of our roles. If you want to take a second to pause and read through it, you definitely can. You as a teacher, we are so good as a campus that whenever we have SST meetings, we're together as a committee in front of those parents. Teachers are always prepared. The data is there. The conversations are there. Most of the times parents walk into the meetings like, hey, I know you already. I've talked to you. Thank you so much for reaching out. So go ahead and take a second to read through this as well if you like to read other responsibilities. Again, this just goes through who we may potentially invite to an SST meeting as well. Just kind of depends on the student's need. And then this kind of starts going through things that I will guide you through, or things that we need, maybe your team leads as well, on how we start moving through that SST process. And it's not always, moving forward. Sometimes it's going back because the students are meeting goals. Sometimes it's changing goals. Sometimes it is we're finding out new information and it leads to something more. But it's not just like a one-stop shop type of deal. These are just resources that we have to figure out what kind of help the student might need: academic, behavioral, is it whole child development, attendance. And we have campus-wide supports to help us there as well. And then we start digging into our Tier 2 and Tier 3 as well, any type of supports that you might need. And something I wanted to bring to your attention, or a reminder, that on my website, we do have some resources for you as well that you can use. And I know a lot of times teachers ask me, like, what are some things I can do maybe as interventions? Where can I find some things to help me? And I do have kind of like a bucket list of interventions that you can use to help you or give you ideas on, like, this student might really benefit from that. But it is all on my website, and it goes through Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 as well. So it's all linked on my website. If you ever need these or want to talk about, hey, I think I might start using this with the student. Can you help me through this? For sure. We will have meetings. Again, that will be after some time when we collect some good data information with that fidelity. And as always, I don't even have to really go through this. You guys have always been awesome in those meetings, whether it's you by yourself or I have to pull in a team of teachers as well. We will schedule as an as-needed basis. Our system seems to work for us now, that I try to schedule it when you have the time to do it. And there's potential. There are some students we may be meeting pretty regularly on every 6 to 9 weeks for that progress monitoring. If we get to the point where we need it, there's a process to get those meetings set up. And this just kind of goes into also, requesting more for that student. But if you don't remember anything else from this, remember that we will have those conversations together. This is not something that you need to do on your own. This talks about when you might refer, all data-based. Again, we will talk about it, come together as a team and figure out what we need to do. But once we start going into like a special education or 504 referral, we definitely need to be having conversations and data to support that also. Of course, we have legal requirements behind all of these things, but ultimately we want to do what's best for those students. Confidentiality, again, protecting their information. That's for this teachers of records to know only. Documentation. Parent communication is a piece to that because, again, we don't want them to be surprised that they're struggling or finding out right before the meeting. So please make sure that one of your main prioritized intervention is to reach out to that parent. And I would encourage you to don't reach out with solely the problem. Also reach out to them with possible, I don't want to say solutions, but ideas that you have to help with that struggle or concern deficit that that student might have. Continue to monitor and implement with Fidelity. Data track. Keep all the information. I have some data trackers if you need help with that as well, where you can use that to track those things. I mean, again, I will help you when it's time to get to that referral process, and I promise you we do have it. I work super great with our special education team. They guide me, they help me, but they also know when I come to them with a potential referral that it is time. That's what that student needs. If you need help with anything, MTSS moving forward, please reach out to me. Happy to help, even if it's just a process think through, and also rely on your veteran teachers as well. But reach out with any questions.